keyboard clacking. What if I told you that something as innocent as a glass of milk could be silently guiding you toward the precipice of a stroke? Would you believe me? So many older adults embrace milk as a daily comfort, a source of nourishment they've trusted their entire lives. And yet, through the years, I've seen the quiet shock on the faces of too many patients when they learned that certain dairy products were waging a slow, hidden war on their blood vessels, elevating their blood pressure and setting the stage for a life-altering stroke. I'm reminded of a gentleman I once treated, a man we'll call Mr. Harris. At 68, he came to my office after a minor stroke, completely bewildered. He was stunned when I gently explained that his favorite comfort food, a creamy, sweetened dairy drink he had every evening, was one of the very things that had caused his arteries to grow stiff and clogged. Like so many of us, he had been raised to believe that milk, in any form, was the cornerstone of good health. This is precisely why our conversation today is so vital. We are about to uncover 7 types of milk products that older adults often consume without a second thought, not realizing they may be quietly increasing their stroke risk. Before we begin, allow me to ask you 2 simple questions. First, do you believe the milk you drink every day is truly safe for your heart? And second, if you discovered it wasn't, would you be willing to make a small change to protect your future? If your answer is yes, please type the number 1 in the comments below. If you're not so sure, type a 0. I promise, we read and respond to every single comment. And before we dive in, be sure to subscribe to Health 365. That way, you won't miss our upcoming videos on how to live longer, healthier, and more vibrant years ahead. Many seniors begin their day with a small cup of creamy yogurt, believing it to be a gentle and wholesome start. But when that yogurt is made from whole milk and laden with added sugar, a different story begins to unfold. Whole milk yogurt is rich in saturated fats. When you add a generous helping of sugar, this combination can disrupt the delicate balance of lipids in your blood. Over time, this imbalance, known as dyslipidemia, inflicts damage on the delicate lining of your blood vessels. Once the inner wall of an artery is injured, it becomes sticky, creating a foothold for cholesterol to build up and form dangerous plaques. These plaques not only narrow the vessel, but also make it brittle, setting the stage for a stroke if one should ever crack or burst. I once met a woman named Mrs. Thompson, a 70-year-old from Ohio, who came to me concerned about spells of dizziness and shortness of breath. She proudly shared that she always avoided desserts, but she did have a daily ritual: 2 bowls of her favorite sweetened whole milk yogurt. She believed it was a far better choice than ice cream. Her blood tests, however, revealed dangerously high levels of LDL cholesterol and triglycerides. A subsequent heart scan showed the early signs of thickened arteries. She was heartbroken to realize that her healthy snack had been quietly contributing to her condition. With a little guidance, she switched to plain, low-fat yogurt topped with fresh fruit. Within 6 months, her cholesterol levels had dramatically improved, and she felt lighter and more energetic than she had in years. If you enjoy yogurt, there is no need to abandon it. The safer path is to choose plain, low-fat, or Greek yogurt without any added sugar. A handful of fresh berries or a light drizzle of honey provides a touch of sweetness without the heavy, harmful load of processed sugar found in flavored cups. Even small, daily swaps like this can become a powerful shield for your arteries, protecting your brain for years to come. And this is only the beginning. What comes next might surprise you even more. A milk product many of us grew up loving, yet it can harden the arteries with a speed that rivals some of the most dangerous habits. For many older adults, the scent and taste of evaporated milk are steeped in nostalgia. Its thick, creamy texture is deeply comforting, and for some, it's an essential addition to their daily coffee or desserts. But hidden within that familiar can is a heavy concentration of cholesterol and saturated fat. When consumed regularly, these fats begin to accumulate along the walls of your arteries, much like hot wax solidifying inside a narrow pipe. Over time, the arteries lose their natural flexibility. Instead of expanding gently with each heartbeat, they become stiff and fragile. This stiffness means that when blood pressure rises, whether from stress, a moment of excitement, or even just climbing a flight of stairs, the artery wall is far more likely to crack. A rupture in the brain can trigger a devastating hemorrhagic stroke. I think of Mr. Delgado, a 70-year-old retired mechanic who had used evaporated milk in his morning coffee for decades. He told me it was the only way to get that perfect, rich flavor. But when he came into the clinic after a dizzy spell, his blood pressure was alarmingly high, and a scan revealed early vessel damage in his brain. He was shocked. He rarely ate fast food and avoided fried meals. He thought he was being so careful. Yet, that daily splash of full-fat, evaporated milk had been quietly loading his arteries with cholesterol year after year. Once he switched to a lighter alternative and began monitoring his blood pressure, he gradually regained control over his health. If you love that creamy texture in your coffee or recipes, try unsweetened almond milk, oat milk, or even low-fat evaporated versions. They can provide the richness you crave without overloading your arteries. Some of my patients even blend low-fat milk with a dash of cinnamon or vanilla extract for a flavor that is both heart-friendly and deeply satisfying. And while that is certainly concerning, our next milk product is even more deceptive. It combines two dangers at once, fat and sugar, creating what I call the double punch to your blood vessels. This is where the risk truly escalates. Powdered milk seems like a marvel of convenience. Just scoop, stir, and you have a creamy beverage. But when that powder is flavored and made with whole milk, it quietly becomes one of the most dangerous habits for seniors. Why? Because it delivers a devastating 1-2 punch. Saturated fat from the whole milk and a heavy dose of added sugar from the flavoring. Together, these two create chaos in the body. The fat drives up LDL cholesterol, while the sugar spikes blood glucose. This combination dramatically accelerates the buildup of plaques inside your arteries and forces your blood pressure to climb. Scientists sometimes refer to this as a metabolic storm, and once it begins, the risk of stroke skyrockets. What makes this so tricky is that flavored milk powders are often marketed as fun, family-friendly treats. Many seniors even prepare them for their grandchildren, never realizing they are consuming the same sugary mix themselves day after day. I remember Mrs. Carter, a 74-year-old grandmother from Texas, who loved to make a warm cup of chocolate-flavored milk powder each night before bed. She was convinced it helped her relax. But over the years, she gained weight, her blood pressure crept higher, and her blood sugar readings drifted into the pre-diabetic range. One evening, she fainted in her kitchen. At the hospital, doctors discovered her arteries were dangerously thick and her heart was under immense strain. She was devastated to learn that her cozy bedtime ritual had been silently poisoning her body. With some encouragement, She replaced the flavored powder with plain, unsweetened almond milk and a small square of dark chocolate. Not only did her numbers improve, but she also woke up feeling more energetic than she had in years. If you enjoy milk powders, choose the plain, non-fat versions and add natural flavorings yourself, a sprinkle of cinnamon, a spoonful of unsweetened cocoa, or even fresh fruit blended right in. This way, you avoid the hidden sugars and excessive fat while still enjoying a warm, comforting drink. But this double punch, as serious as it is not the end of our story. The truth is, even classic whole milk itself, something most of us were raised on, can quietly harden our arteries and pave the way for a stroke. Let's explore why that is. Whole milk feels like a timeless classic. Many of us grew up drinking a tall glass with breakfast, believing it was nourishment in its purest form. Yet for seniors, this traditional choice can become a hidden threat. Whole milk is packed with saturated fat, which directly raises LDL cholesterol, the kind often called bad cholesterol. As LDL levels rise, these particles begin to deposit themselves inside artery walls, forming hard, stubborn plaques. These plaques not only narrow the arteries, restricting blood flow, but they also make them fragile and prone to rupture. If one of these plaques breaks open, the body rushes to repair the damage by forming a clot. If that clot breaks free, it can travel to the brain, block a vital vessel, and trigger a life-threatening ischemic stroke. I recall Mrs. Allen, a 69-year-old retired teacher, who proudly told me she avoided sweets and processed foods, but she cherished her daily glass of whole milk, considering it a wholesome, non-negotiable habit. Her blood pressure was stable, yet her cholesterol levels kept creeping up year after year. Eventually, a scan revealed advanced plaque buildup in her carotid arteries, the main vessels that supply blood to the brain. She was utterly shocked. She had thought milk was the very least of her worries. After she switched to 1% milk and began to focus more on leafy greens and fish, her cholesterol levels finally began to improve. She told me, with a note of regret, "I just wish someone had explained this to me sooner." If you still enjoy drinking milk, there's no need to stop. Simply opt for low-fat or skim versions, which provide the same calcium and protein without the heavy load of artery-clogging fat. Some seniors even find they enjoy fortified plant-based milks, like soy milk, which can actively support heart health. Remember, the goal is not to remove joy from your life, but to make small, intelligent adjustments that keep your heart and brain safe. So let me ask you, do you still think the glass of milk on your table is helping your health? Or could it be holding you back? Comment with a 1 if you've ever wondered about this, or a 0 if this is all new to you. And please, don't forget to subscribe to Health 365 so you never miss these vital conversations. As we move forward, the picture becomes even trickier, because when milk is flavored, sweetened with chocolate, strawberry, or other additives, the risks multiply in ways many people never expect. Flavored milk often seems playful, almost harmless. Chocolate milk, strawberry milk, even banana blends are marketed as fun ways to enjoy dairy. But behind those colorful cartons lies a hidden trap: sugar. These drinks usually contain staggering amounts of added sugar, sometimes nearly as much as a can of soda. When seniors consume them regularly, their blood sugar rises rapidly, forcing the body to release a flood of insulin. Over time, these constant sugar spikes can make the body resistant to insulin's effects, a condition that is one of the primary drivers of type 2 diabetes. And diabetes doesn't just affect blood sugar, it transforms the entire circulatory system. Excess glucose thickens the blood and inflicts damage on small, delicate vessels. Combined with the weight gain that often accompanies sugary drinks, the heart and brain are forced to work much harder. The blood itself becomes more viscous, heavier, and stickier, which dramatically raises the risk of clots. A single clot that travels to the brain can block circulation in seconds, causing a devastating stroke. Another danger lies in the misconception that flavored milk is healthy simply because it contains calcium and protein. While those nutrients are indeed valuable, they cannot outweigh the immense damage caused by a daily overload of sugar. It's like stirring vitamins into a bowl of frosting. It doesn't magically make the frosting good for your arteries. The safer choice is simple. If you enjoy milk, choose unsweetened versions and add natural flavors yourself. A spoonful of unsweetened cocoa powder, a handful of fresh berries, or even a touch of cinnamon can create a delicious taste without flooding your body with sugar. For those who miss chocolate milk, blending low-fat milk with pure cocoa powder and just a single drop of honey is far less harmful than the commercial sugar-laden cartons. And yet sugar isn't only hidden in flavored milk. One of the oldest dairy staples, condensed milk, packs such an intense sugar load that it can raise blood pressure almost instantly. Let's take a closer look. Condensed milk is a beloved staple in many kitchens. Thick, creamy, and intensely sweet, it's often used in coffee, drizzled over desserts, or even enjoyed straight from the can. But this decadent sweetness hides a dangerous truth. Condensed milk delivers a massive, concentrated dose of sugar in just a few spoonfuls. When consumed, it causes a sudden, violent spike in both blood sugar and blood pressure. For seniors, whose arteries may already be less flexible with age, that sharp rise can put enormous strain on the heart and blood vessels. It's like forcing a fragile, aging pipe to handle a sudden, powerful surge of water. Over time, this repeated sugar overload leads to stiffened, brittle arteries. The blood vessels lose their ability to expand and contract smoothly, forcing the heart to work harder and dramatically raising the risk of a vessel rupturing in the brain. A ruptured vessel creates a hemorrhagic stroke, a bleed that can be disabling or even fatal. Another part of the problem is how condensed milk is used. Because it's so sweet, people often underestimate just how much they're consuming. A spoonful in coffee, a drizzle over fruit, a layer in a dessert. It all adds up, far faster than we realize. Each serving silently increases the burden on the circulatory system. Unlike the natural sugars found in fruit, which come packaged with fiber and nutrients, the refined sugar in condensed milk offers no protection whatsoever. It is pure, unadulterated stress for your arteries. There are far better choices. If you enjoy a touch of sweetness in your drinks, try a small amount of honey or stevia in low-fat milk. Even better, use the natural sweetness of fresh fruit in smoothies. These simple swaps can dramatically reduce the sugar burden on your body while still satisfying your taste. The goal is never to remove sweetness from life, but to choose it wisely in ways that protect your heart and your brain. So tell me, have you ever relied on condensed milk in your daily routine? Press 1 if yes, or 0 if not. And be sure to subscribe to Health 365 to stay with us on this journey toward safer, healthier habits. And if you think condensed milk sounds heavy, just wait until we examine cream and butter, where hidden fats can make the blood so thick that clots form with frightening ease. Cream and butter are cherished in so many kitchens. A pat of butter melting on warm bread or a splash of cream in a cup of coffee feels comforting, like a small, well-deserved luxury. But for seniors, these daily indulgences can quickly become hidden dangers. Cream and butter are dense with saturated fats, and depending on the processing, they may also contain harmful trans fats. Together, these fats raise both triglycerides and LDL cholesterol, thickening the blood and making it much harder for it to flow smoothly through your veins. Thick blood isn't just sluggish, it's also far more prone to clotting. And when a clot travels to the brain, it can block circulation within minutes, triggering a stroke. What makes cream and butter especially concerning is how easy it is to use more than you intend. A tablespoon of butter or cream may not look like much, but when that habit is repeated day after day, it quietly loads the body with unhealthy fats. Over time, the arteries stiffen, the heart is forced to strain harder, and the risk of both heart attack and stroke increases sharply. Seniors often assume that because it comes from a natural source, dairy fat must be harmless. Yet study after study has consistently shown that a high intake of saturated fat contributes to vascular disease just as powerfully as many processed foods. The good news is that you don't have to sacrifice flavor. Instead of heavy cream, try milk alternatives like unsweetened oat milk or a low-fat half and half. For spreading on toast, avocado or olive oil-based spreads provide healthy fats that actually support your heart. Even small substitutions like these can protect your circulation without taking the enjoyment out of your meals. Another useful tip is simple portion awareness. Using a teaspoon instead of a tablespoon can make a profound difference over the course of weeks and months. By reducing these hidden fats, little by little, you create a gentler environment inside your body, allowing your arteries to remain flexible and strong. Now that we've walked through all 7 of these hidden dangers, it's clear that the real lesson is bigger than any single product. Avoiding risk isn't about one food. It's about building patterns. It's about choosing foods that nourish, habits that protect, and a lifestyle that allows your heart to beat strongly and your brain to thrive for all the years to come. Today, you've seen how 7 common milk products, things many of us believed were harmless, can quietly raise the risk of stroke. On the surface, they feel comforting. But deep inside the body, they can strain the heart, damage our arteries, and make a stroke far more likely. But here is the hopeful truth. Your health isn't shaped by one single food you avoid, but by the sum of your daily choices. Switching to low-fat or plant-based options, adding more vegetables and fruits to your plate, staying active, and monitoring your blood pressure, these are the powerful habits that protect both your heart and your brain. It's not about restriction. It's about balance. Have you ever changed a food habit after learning it was harmful? Please, share your story in the comments. Your experience may be the one that inspires someone else to make a change. If this video has helped you, please give it a like and subscribe to Health 365 so you don't miss the simple, powerful steps that can make aging healthier and stronger. In our next video, we'll explore the everyday habits beyond food that also shape your risk of a stroke.